This is Tre Porter with KDPS Radio, and I'm talking to Dr. Larry Waldman, who is a licensed clinical forensic psychologist and certified school psychologist, as well as the author of Who's Reading Whom and Coping with Your Adolescent. Dr. Waldman, can you please tell us a little about yourself?
Yes, I'm a clinical psychologist, as you indicated, here in Phoenix, Arizona. I've been in private practice nearly 40 years. I spend a lot of time working with children and teens and their frustrated parents.
I read that you advise parents to back off if they want to raise a responsible child. Why doesn't micromanaging children ensure they will grow up as responsible children?
Well, I have found over the years that many parents simply don't understand how to foster responsibility in their children. And what most parents tend to do is basically make their children be responsible.
I mean, with the micromanaging that I've seen parents do before, and even my mother personally, if that won't get us to become responsible, then how should parents approach this situation?
Well, I believe very strongly that the key to teaching responsibility in our children is to allow them to make choices and see the results of those choices, as opposed to, as we were just saying a minute ago, just forcing them to do it. If you think about it as adults, that's what leads us to be responsible. Let them make their poor choices, but then again, let them see the consequences of those acts.
You know, children are young and they do grow up and learn, but in the beginning stages, why is it not right for parents to bail them out right away so they can at least, when you bail your child out, you at least show them the right thing to do?
I'm not suggesting, of course, that parents sit passively by and just let things go as they wish. I recommend that parents clearly indicate to their children what they think is appropriate and what they believe would be the right way to behave. But, for example, if a child leaves a long-term assignment to the last night, and now it's midnight and they're upset and crabby and so forth, the last thing I think a parent should do is spend the rest of the evening helping the child complete that assignment. Rather, I believe the parent should say, son, daughter, I'm sorry, but you made a bad choice here, and now you're going to have to live with the consequence of turning in an incomplete assignment.
Why does it seem that we see these children that, have, either parents not in their life or parents, not taking a big role in their life, that they look less responsible?
Well, again, like most things, there's a happy medium. If the parents pay little role in the child's life, then of course there's little guidance and recognition and counseling. On the other hand, of course, if parents micromanage, then as I said earlier, the child becomes dependent on being told what to do. I think the middle road is best. Parents make it very clear what they believe is the appropriate road to take and so forth, but ultimately it's up to the child to make that decision. If the child makes the right one, of course, as parents we should be there to recognize that and applaud that and reinforce it. By the same token, if the child makes a poor decision, we don't get hysterical and so forth, but let the child live by the consequence of their poor act and support them in that, and perhaps ask them to think about what they learned from that irresponsible behavior.
I'm talking with Dr. Larry Waldman about why and how parents should back off their children to get them to become responsible. Dr. Waldman, I think that a lot of parents would disagree with that just because of the simple fact of you think, I back off my child and the micromanaging, and a lot of children probably need that in their life at a young age just to stay on top of their stuff with, how many distractions are out there. What would you say to the parents who have been on top of their kids, their whole life, and, their children really did turn out responsible?
Well, I'd say you were fortunate. I've had more cases than I can count where parents come to me with their child who just went off to college, and now they're home, let's say for winter break, and the parents are very disappointed in the kids' performance. And what turns out is that the parents basically overmanaged the child all the way through their elementary and particularly their high school career, and did a decent job of it because the kid got into some university, but unfortunately the parent didn't accompany them to that university. And now that the child is on their own, they can handle the freedom, because they've never had an opportunity to work in that kind of environment.
You're saying that parents are the micromanaging type of parents. They're doing it to a certain extent that when their kids do go off to college and they're on their own, that they, do the stereotypical go wild thing? I
was referring more to the academic part.
Okay.
Basically, it's you live what you've learned, and if you've been made, to study, and you've been made to do your homework, and you've been made to review your work, and so forth. Again, I don't believe that teaches independence and responsibility. It teaches dependence.
Well, Dr. Waldman, where can the public find more on this topic of discussion?
Well, they can check my website if they like, which is topphoenixpsychologist.com. They can certainly feel free to email me at Larry Waldman, PhD, at cox.net. And, of course, as you mentioned earlier, I have 2 books on parenting entitled Who's Raising Whom and Coping with Your Adolescent. And they're available through me or on Amazon.
All right. Thank you. This is Tre Porter with KDPS Radio. Thank you for speaking with me, Dr. Waldman.
Thank you.